In 1975, Discipline and Punish, The Birth of the Prison by Michel Foucault was published. This book examines how Western societies transform their systems of punishment, from public execution to modern prisons. The famous concept of the Panopticon is mentioned in this book, though Jeremy Bentham originally proposed it. Then Foucault analyzes the concept through the narrative of the prisons in this book. Foucault asks, how did punishment shift from the torturing the body to disciplining the mind? And what does that reveal about a modern society? His answer is provocative. Modern society. Foucault introduces the concept of disciplinary power. Unlike sovereign power, which is dramatic and invisible, disciplinary power is quiet and continuous. It operates through surveillance, timetables, examinations, and normalization. It doesn't need public spectacle. It works by shaping individuals internally. Schools, hospitals, factories, military barracks all become sites of discipline. They organize the space. They regulate time. They measure performance. They produce docile bodies that are useful and obedient. The prison is not an isolated institution. It is part of the broader disciplinary society. So one of the most famous concepts in the book is the Panopticon. In the late 18th century, a philosopher named Jeremy Bentham proposed a remarkably simple building, a circular structure with cells arranged along the perimeter and a single watchtower at the center. He called it the Panopticon, all-seeing at means. The first glance, it looks like just another prison design, a rational and efficient solution to a practical problem. But in Discipline and Punish, Michel Foucault turns this seemingly technical diagram into the profound theory of how power operates. Foucault describes the mechanism with a striking clarity. Visibility is a trap. Each prisoner placed in an individual cell, fully visible from the central tower. The cell is blacklit, exposing the body in constant light, while the tower itself remains hidden in shadow. From the prisoner's point of view, the essential condition is uncertainty. They cannot see the observer. They cannot confirm whether anyone is watching, and yet they must assume that observation is always possible. And Foucault writes, he is seeing but he does not see. He is the object of the information, never a subject in communication. This asymmetry is everything, because when you cannot verify surveillance, you begin to internalize it. The prisoner adjusts their posture, their movements, their behavior, not in response to actual force, but in response to the possibility of being seen. What begins as an architectural arrangement becomes a psychological condition. This marks as a fundamental shift in how power operates. In earlier societies, power was visible, violent, and theoretical. It related on public punishment, on the spectacle of the body. But here, power becomes quiet, continuous, and automatic. Foucault captures this transformation in one of his most famous lines. Power should be visible and unverifiable. Visible because the subject must always feel exposed. Unverifiable because the subject must never know when power is actually being exercised. The result is a system that no longer requires constant intervention. The architecture itself produces obedience. The guard may or may not be present. It no longer matters. Control has shifted from external enforcement to internal regulation. As Foucault explains, The major effect of the Panopticon to induce in the inmate a state of conscious and permanent visibility that assures the automatic functioning of the power. This is a true innovation of the Panopticon. It creates a condition in which individuals become the agents of their own control. They begin to monitor themselves, correct themselves, discipline themselves. Power no longer needs to act directly on the body. It operates through the mind. From an architectural perspective, this is a radical proposition. The Panopticon is not simply a building. It is a machine, a device designed to structure perception, to organize visibility, to produce specific forms of behavior. Its circular geometry, its centralized observation point, its careful manipulation of lighting and isolation. Every element contributes to a single goal, making individuals observable and therefore controllable. But Foucault's most important move is to treat the Panopticon not as a physical object, but as a generalizable principle. It becomes what he calls a kind of diagram of a power, a model that can be applied across society, schools, hospitals, factories, and offices. All begin to adopt similar mechanisms of observation, evaluation, and normalization. As he puts it, is it surprising that prisons resemble factories, schools, barracks, hospitals, and will all resemble prisons? What we see here is not just a new type of a building, but a new type of society. A society in which individuals are constantly visible, constantly assessed, constantly adjusted. The logic of the Panopticon escapes the prison and spreads into everyday life. And this is where the idea becomes deeply contemporary. Today's surveillance is no longer confined to architecture. It is embedded in the digital systems, in networks, in data. And yet, the underlying mechanisms remain the same. You may not know when you are being watched, but you know that you could be, and so you act accordingly. Foucault describes this expansion with chilling precision. The Panopticon is a machine for dissociating the see-being-seen dyad. In other words, it separates the act of the observation from any specific observer. Power becomes anonymous, diffuse, and everywhere. It no longer belongs to a single authority. It is built into the system itself. For architecture, this raises an unsettling implications. If space can structure visibility, if it can define who sees and who is seen, then it's never neutral. Every design decision, every wall, every opening, every line of the site participates in the shaping behavior. The Panopticon reveals architecture not just as a form, but as technology of the power. And perhaps the most haunting realization is that the central tower is no longer necessary. The system continues without it. We carry the gaze within us. We anticipate observation. We regulate our actions. We discipline ourselves. In a sense, the Panopticon is no longer a building we enter. It is a condition we inhabit. And Foucault connects the discipline to knowledge. Modern institutions don't just control people, they study them. They create files, records, categories, psychology, criminology, and psychiatry. These disciplines emerge alongside the prison. The criminal is no longer simply punished. He is analyzed, diagnosed, classified. Power produces knowledge, and the knowledge reinforces the power. This relationship between knowledge and control is central to Foucault's philosophy. The examination, testing school, medical evaluations, performance reviews becomes a mechanism of normalization. We are constantly measured against the standards, normal and abnormal, deviant. Discipline works by defining these categories. And Foucault raises a disturbing point. Prisons often fail to reduce the crime, yet the prison system persists. And why? Because its function may not be to eliminate the crime. Instead, it organizes and manages illegality. It creates a controlled category, the delinquent. This category allows society to separate acceptable behavior from deviance. The prison becomes part of the broader social order, not merely a tool of the justice. In this sense, punishment is not about morality alone. It is about maintaining social structure. For architecture and urban thinkers, discipline and punish is deeply relevant. Space is not neutral. Architecture can enforce a discipline. For example, the classroom layout shapes attention. The hospital ward organizes visibility. The office cubicle structures productivity. The prison cell enforces isolation. The Panopticon shows that spatial design can produce psychological effects. Control does not always require walls and chains. It requires visibility. Foucault's ideas have influenced debates about surveillance technology, CCTV, digital monitoring, data tracking, smart cities. Today, we carry devices that track location and behavior voluntarily. The Panopticon may no longer be architectural, it may be digital. So let's summarize the core ideas. The punishment shifted from spectacle to discipline. Public torture gave way to hidden surveillance. And modern power is subtle and continuous. It shapes behavior rather than inflicting the visible pain. And surveillance creates self-regulation. The Panopticon is a model of internalized control. And institutions produce normal individuals. Schools, hospitals, and prisons share disciplinary logic, and power and knowledge are intertwined. Classification and measurement are tools of the control. So as a final summary, nearly 50 years later, discipline and punish feels more relevant than ever. We live in a world of algorithmic scoring, social media visibility, workplace performance metrics, facial recognition, and constant data collections. So power rarely appears as a public spectacle. It appears as a system, invisible, routine, internalized. Foucault forces us to ask uncomfortable questions. Are we freer than before, or simply governed differently? For architects, planners, and designers, this book is a reminder: space shapes behavior, visibility structures power, and institutions are not neutral, and discipline and punish is not an easy read. But it changes how you see the schools, offices, hospitals, even cities. Once you understand disciplinary power, you begin to see it everywhere. Thank you for watching, and hope this summary helps you, and hope you will have the opportunity to read the actual text and learn more about it. And still, we're just halfway up the ladder of the knowledge of all of architecture, art, philosophy, and design. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below.